It's kind of funny how it happened, actually. So when I bought Village Deli, I started to walk across the street to Soma every day to get my coffee. And when Pete wanted to sell it, he was like, hey, would you be interested in buying Soma and Laughing Planet? Because you're here every day. You're going to save a ton of money. You're here 2 times a day, at least.
Welcome to Season 9 of the No Dishes Podcast, presented by our friends at Game Day Men's Health. They have a wide variety of services. You can find out more at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. I've been seeing them for 5 months, have lost over 50 pounds, but they do so much more than just weight loss. We're so appreciative to them of showing their support for the local restaurant community and highlighting the people that make it go. DJ, spin that track.
Hey, say, honey, let's go out to eat. Relieve our culinary duties. With all these restaurants to sweep us off our feet, they're bound to turn us into foodies. No dishes, no dishes, no dishes. We'll have a bottle of wine, relax and have a good time. No dishes, no dishes.
We've been working on this one for years. It's finally here. Village Deli, Soma, the Ivy. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Bob Costello.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Dude, I'm loving the fit. You rocking the deli. I love the hat. You got deli shirt down here.
And I love the persistence. You didn't give up. I'm finally here.
I'm just like, Bob, you're going to come on here, buddy. We're going to talk.
Yeah.
Well, we run into each other all the time for different things. Walnut Street, Walnut College Corridor Studies, you name it.
Taste of Bloomington.
Yes, which you were very appreciative because you let us use your outdoor dining for people to sit at, which was great. That was very helpful.
Least we could do. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Bloomington needed it to come back. You had a perfect night for it.
We got lucky.
People loved it. It was great. It was a good time.
Excited to run it back. So I know some people are familiar, obviously, with your businesses, but maybe not with you so much.
Right.
Let's just get to your backstory before we talk about all your enterprises.
Right.
Where are you from, and how'd you kind of end up here?
Well, so I'm a region rat. Proudly grew up in Gary, moved to a bedroom suburb afterwards, after junior high. Came to Bloomington, transferred here from Pepperdine University, went to school out in California, had way too much fun. They asked me not to come back. So I found my way down to IU, where they welcome people who like to have a good time. And did the 6-year plan on undergrad, graduated with a chemistry degree, and went in the chemical industry. Worked in there for about 7 years. Married a local girl who did not want to leave Bloomington. So I moved from Chicago to Bloomington, and kind of difficult to find a job in the chemical field. So worked for Kelly School of Business for a while, in executive education, was assistant director for that. And then we used to go to the Village Deli with my son, and the place was always packed. Service was slow, food was slow, but they always had a line. And the server's like, the place is for sale, you should buy it. And I had worked in the industry in college and thought, why the hell not? Like, I'm going to see if these guys, I had no money. I'm going to see if these guys, owners, will like, well, they'll work with me and maybe carry the note, which they work with me. It was Mike and Dave that owned the business, Dave Lockwood. And and so that was 26 years ago. And that's a really short version, but
we'll dive. I got some follow-ups.
Yeah. And in college, I worked at the Four Winds out on Lake Monroe. And I also worked at J. Arthur's, which is the former Malibu. And JB and I were bartenders together at Malibu. Yeah.
That's crazy.
J. Arthur's, going way back.
The most we ever dove into J. Arthur's on an episode was before we ever added the video. I had Matt Engler, DJ Unique, on. And dude, we talked about J. Arthur's, I feel like, for like 30 minutes almost.
Wow, yeah.
And
it was a spot.
It was like a club almost.
Yeah,
which is crazy to think about, like, when you walk into Malibu now, like, Oh, this is where people were going to dance.
Right. Yeah, it was
know?
kind of like a hooligans. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And so you bought it, what, 99 if I'm doing my
So
math?
I bought 99. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And that was your first foray into restaurant ownership.
My first foray, yep. Had literally my wife had our third child and we closed the next day.
Wow.
So 3 kids and a restaurant. Yeah.
Now, the guys you bought it from, did they start it?
They did start it. They were the original founders, and they were living in Aspen and only coming back on the weekends, like maybe 1 or 2 weekends a month. So it's kind of like the inmates were running the jail. And so as a new owner coming in, it was a little difficult because they weren't used to having an owner around. So there was a lot of push and pull initially, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be expected. You know, that's like
Yeah. and part of what I learned right away was, first of all, like you probably should interview everybody and see who wants to be, you want on the team, who wants to be on the team. And then secondly, like you should make sure you know all the jobs. I did not know how to cook. And I quickly had to learn how to cook because the cooks were like, yeah, I'm not coming in today, or I'm going to be there in 2 hours. And I really had no leverage on them at all because I couldn't do their job.
Yeah.
So it was great, life lesson and learning experience. I was able to actually go on the grill, learn how to flip cakes, omelets, eggs, what have you. So it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, any good owner, you got to know how to do it all, you know, or at least have management right underneath you that can, or I mean, that's part of it is diving into it. So, I mean, when 99, how far removed were you from college? Like, cause
so in 99, let's do a math here. So I was probably, I was about 34 years old. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right around my age, yeah.
Yeah, you're
young.
young.
Bob, get out of here. You're too sweet. So how long had it, when those guys opened it, how long had it been open by the time you put
19 years. So we're going on our 45th year. Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's cool. Any big plans for the big 5-0?
You know, not yet, but we'll have to get that rolling.
I'm picturing the graphic with a big 5 and then a cinnamon roll pancake for the 0.
Oh, yeah, with like 50 circles, concentric circles.
Ooh, there we go. Yeah.
There we go.
I always love having guests on here and then what we were doing before we started recording.
Right.
What I do when we start recording, like I've got ideas for you.
Right.
Yeah. And then you're on camera, so you have to pretend they're good.
Right there. That's a great idea. In fact, when we're ready to execute that, I'll call you so you can help us.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. My creative genius. Yeah. What was when you got into it? Obviously, you already mentioned just maybe interviewing, seeing who wants to be there, learning all the roles. What other than what you already touched on? What was the biggest shock or thing that you weren't expecting of your first time going into restaurant ownership at 34 years old?
Wow, the biggest shock was probably the amount of time that you had to spend on the business to make it successful. Because restaurants really require hands-on. And if you are not a worker, and if you, in my opinion, if you think you're going to buy a restaurant and be a non-existent owner, you're in for an awakening.
Right.
And so I think ideally I thought, oh, wow, this would be really fun. I'll own this restaurant. I'll pop in once in a while. Money will just flow in.
It's just like that.
Yeah,
it's just like
easy,
that, dude. Come on.
And just so that, you know, potentially there are some buyers out there, you know, it is just like that. You have a ton of free time. The money just flows in.
Yeah.
You have no personnel issues. It's great. So if you're out there and you're thinking about buying a restaurant,
just do it.
You should do it.
Prince money.
Jump off that bridge.
So when we took over Chocolate Mousse, you know, it was a mom and pop operation. Yeah. It was a beloved building and brand, but the books weren't great.
Right.
You know, and it took us probably 5 or 6 years before we're like, okay, this is a business. Yeah. How long did it take you after taking over Village Deli to be like, okay, this is it's running solid entity?
I would probably agree with you. It's probably 5 or 6 years. So some of the things in buying a business, so I purchased a couple existing businesses. And one of the things I learned that I didn't know before I bought the deli is you probably should contact all the people they use for service and find out how often they're there. like, are they there every week working on coolers and the grills and the heating and the AC? Because that'll tell you really about what the condition is of the equipment you're buying. So when you don't purchase a business, all of a sudden the air conditioners all go out and you're spending $13,000-$15,000 on a new HVAC system. So that's the thing I would say, is something I learned right away. Yeah.
Do a little bit more due diligence on really what you're getting.
Yeah, I would say that. And it took 5 or 6 years, as you said, to realize that you had to keep investing money into the business before you could really make money.
Yeah.
And the deli was really constrained. And so, like I said, there was a long line. There were a lot of people that waited a long time for food. Well, obviously, in a diner, it's all about turn. And if you have people sitting 2 hours for a breakfast, it should be down to an hour so that you can make more money.
Yeah, your check average doesn't have people getting bottles of wine and,
Exactly.
it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's all about turn and burn and making sure that it's a quality experience
Right.
for them as well, that they don't feel rushed. But that's also hard for them not to feel rushed when your theme is eat and get out.
You're right. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah, very delicate balance.
Yeah, it's like enjoy your experience, but name of the game is turn and burn.
Right.
Yeah.
And we do jokingly go up to people and be like, hey, like if there isn't anything else we could do for you today, we really have a long wait for tables, and we kind of pause. And they're like, oh yeah, we get it. It's on your shirt. And not that you asked, but I'm going to elaborate on the
Please
theme
do.
because I think it's great.
Yeah.
Mike and Dave had the business. There was where the deli is right now. The seating area was the whole business, the whole restaurant. So when you walked in, there was literally a clipboard with a piece of paper on it. You put your name on it and you put it on the top of the table, and then you waited in the aisles or outside. And so literally the customers were right by the table. So while customers were eating, when they were getting ready to finish, the customers were like, hey, you're done. You need to get out. You need to get going. We want to sit down and eat.
That's genius, because then you're not the bad guy.
Right, exactly. And so Mike, though, one of the previous owners, liked being the bad guy and literally would go up to people and say, like, it's time for you to go. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So when we bought the deli, I wanted people to be able to, wait inside. So we bought the Red Chair Bakery, which was next door, tried to make that work. It didn't really work, couldn't produce money. So we converted that area into our lobby. And on the other side of Red Chair Bakery was Ben & Jerry's, if you remember that place.
It was before my time, but yeah.
Yeah. And they went out of business. So we decided to take over that space as well.
That's the seating area when you walk into the right.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we call it the new side.
Oh, yeah.
New as in like 25
No,
years old.
But it sticks.
Still
Once
new,
you call it that.
right.
I mean, we call our warehouse that we make everything at PTS, because they were the old
Was a
PTS
PTS,
warehouses.
right.
And we've tried getting other names to stick internally. Like, I want to call it the Creamery because it sounds cool. That's where we make the ice cream. But we just call it PTS.
Yeah. Just it's hard to get rid of those old things. The side room is still the side room, even though it's not the side room. So anyway, that space is that allowed us more space. And the good thing we had is even when we expanded, we still had the wait. And there's a certain buzz. Like, people like to go to a restaurant where there's a wait. Like, then they know the food's good. They can converse with other people. It's very similar to an ice cream shop. While you're in line, you see people you get to catch up with them, and then you go to your table. So you're not like having to sit down with them, but you still have this sense of community.
Of course.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. No, it's great. I miss that so much about the old stand. Just a line in the parking lot, and just we'd have reviews that were 5-star and be like, I had to wait for a while, but like, it was fun. It's part of the experience, and it just goes with it. So I feel like it's in what you do. It's that sweet spot of like 15-20 minute wait. You know?
Yeah.
And anything other than that, like, okay, I don't know.
Well, and beyond the 15 or 20, what's really nice is the synergy with the other businesses around us. So like, we have Trax is next door, which is now Home Field and Trax. And then we have, we had TIS. Pattaya. So people would go shop, so they're like, I'm going to go to the store and what we'll say is like, hey, if we call your name and you're not here, we leave you at the top of the list, but go spend money, which really helps. And Runcible Spoon does the same thing as well. They have a wait. So between the two of us, we're really helping our neighbors as well. And they're helping us because it keeps the customers there and engaged while they're waiting for their
it was similar to Taste, man.
Yeah.
You bring a lot of people to a space, even if it's for this purpose, it's gonna trickle out to evereveryone else.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not saying trickle down economics works, but in this instance, what we're
Please
talking about,
don't.
I was like, I just used that phrase. I don't want it to get misconstrued. Not what I'm saying. But yeah, no, it's great. You just bring everyone and they could pop in here. We found it. We upped our porta pots, not realizing that people were going to be frequenting all these surrounding restaurants and not even needing to use them because they were going in spending money other places too.
Right.
And so I'm just like, oh, we didn't even need to go from 60 to 80 the day before because I didn't see a single line.
At the porta pots?
No.
Yeah.
And part of it, some people didn't know where they were, which is my fault, but.
yeah, that might be it. If they're hard to find, there won't be a line.
Yeah. They figured it out. Are you wanting to move better, feel better, and live better? Look no further than Move Bloomington, where their small group personal training programs are designed to improve strength, balance, and flexibility. With a welcoming environment, their expertly guided workouts can help you feel supported in the life and activities you love in and out of the gym. Whether you're new to exercise, a lifelong athlete, or anywhere in between, their dedication to personalized programming will deliver sessions that meet you where you are. Visit movebloomington.com to learn more and get started today. Constellation Stage and Screen presents Next to Normal, the electrifying Tony and Pulitzer Prize-winning rock musical. See it on stage September 4th through the 21st at the Waldron Auditorium in downtown Bloomington. With a soaring, unforgettable score, Next to Normal delves into the heart of a family shattered by mental illness but held together by love. Hailed by the New York Times as a transformative, feel-everything musical, Next to Normal is on stage September 4th through the 21st in downtown Bloomington. Find tickets at cconstellation.org. I've been using WaterTech pools for all of my pool and hot tub needs for 2 seasons now and cannot recommend them highly enough. Jason, Brian, and their entire team are incredibly knowledgeable and can help you with your next pool installation, closing or opening, or just helping you maintain your chemicals and cleanliness throughout the year. They even do custom stainless steel pools. Learn more at Jays, that's Jays, watertechpools.com. So what's the backstory on, you said Dave and Mike?
Yeah. So
on why they started it, what their background was.
So Dave Lockwood was an accounting major at IU, and I don't know why he started a restaurant, but he's from Rushville. He and another guy started, I think it was called the Red Dog. And it was actually with, do you remember Peterson's? Peterson's Deli was a place on 10th Street. It's probably before your time since you're 34 years old.
Well, and I moved down here in 2009.
Yeah, so it was before your time, but he was partners with him. His name was Jay Peterson, but they split up, and then Dave opened the deli, and then Mike was actually a graphic designer for Sunrise Greetings, and they met, got married, and did the business together. And Mike worked in the business, but also worked for Sunrise Greetings. So if you come into the deli, the same paintings that are on the wall, Mike designed those as a graphic design student back, 25, well, I guess it'd be 35 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
And they enjoyed the restaurant business, but they had this talent for flipping houses and decorating. And so they went to Aspen, started flipping houses in Aspen. They went to Maui, went to Palm Springs. And so when I met them, I was like, wow, I mean, it was the dream. You're like, oh, I'm going to own this restaurant. I'm going to have a lot of money, and I'm going to be living in Aspen too. Like, this is going to happen
But
for
you don't
me.
have the same talent of interior design?
Exactly. No, I don't. Yeah, no. Yeah, you saw my house, you would know why I'm still in Bloomington.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So, and they, there's some items on the menu that are still named after them. So it's like Paxton's Potatoes, which we're known for.
Yeah.
It's named after Michael Paxton. And
Interesting, okay.
The Paxton Patty Melt, Dave's Veggie Burgers, Dave Lockwood, he created that. And so I've stayed true to the menu. from when I purchased it, and we've added things, but we've kept the kind of the core ingredients, some of their plays on words, and falafel on my mind, and sorry Charlie for a tuna sandwich, and just different creative things they did.
Have you added any of your that's my dish? That's Bob's special.
No, I haven't actually. Like, we've had different things that we've created, but we've named them after other people. Like friend Darlene, it's Darlene's Dream, which is a special that we named after her. If you know Susie Yeagley from IU Soccer, we have a special eggs that she keeps pimping me on about, that it needs to be changed to Susie Special Eggs. So,
but it hasn't been changed yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm making her work a little harder for that one. Like, I'm waiting for the donation.
There you go. Yeah. I can't wait till it's like Susie's Village Deli.
Right. Yeah. Well, if it's a big enough donation, I'll call it whoever's Village Deli.
Well, you just get 50 million like IU Athletics, I don't know. Yeah. The Merchant Bank Field now, Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's so what, if you had one though, like what's your go-to dish eating at Village Deli?
So my go-to dish for breakfast, there's a couple of them actually, but I really like spinach scramble, spinach, Swiss cheese, grilled onions, bacon, layered in scrambled eggs. Delicious. If you're hungover, the Paxton potatoes is an amazing recovery dish. It's home fries, sausage gravy, cheddar cheese, and chives on it. Man, it hits the spot. And you just got to find a couch after. And
there we go.
You're golden for the rest of the day. I really like our cinnamon roll pancakes. Amazing. When you go on to lunch, the Paxton patty melt, and then our Reuben, because we make our own corned beef, and I would say our Reuben is one of the best in town. Really.
Okay, I've never tried your Reuben.
Well, a lot of people even tried lunch at the Village Deli because they only come there for breakfast, and they're like, "Wait, you have lunch?" And it is called the Village Deli.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I've never had lunch from you guys.
Oh, it's amazing. And it's pretty inexpensive comparatively to everywhere else. So I would say it's a good deal. I'm pushing it.
That's good, man. No. I mean, I'm already sold. I mean, what's that? So I wanted to ask about the process of the cinnamon roll pancakes, but then now you also got me thinking corned beef. Right. Cinnamon roll pancakes, you're just putting the batter down, and then is it like a squeeze bottle?
So it took us a while to perfect it, but it's a squeeze bottle. So what we do is we actually take the butter, the brown sugar, the cinnamon, all of the spices, put it in there, blend it, and then we squeeze it and do the circle on it. You have to wait until the cake's pretty well done before you flip. Right. Then it caramelizes, crystallizes all the sugar until it's got like a nice crisp crunch to it. It is friggin' amazing. I think it's so good.
Yeah, Garrett just pulled up a great picture of it.
Oh yeah, that is tasty.
I knew I shouldn't have gone into this podcast hungry. And then tell me about how you guys do your own corned beef.
So the corned beef's really not that difficult to process. I mean, you get the corned beef yourself. We season it, we roast it, we slice it really thin. And we redid it because it's called the Big Red Reuben. And it was really funny. Probably like 5 years ago, the biggest complaint people had is they were like, it's not big. Like, it's called the Big Red Reuben and it's not big. So we were like, okay, kind of like the F you, we're going to make it really big so that this goes away and we get better reviews on it. And it is really good. And we don't get those complaints anymore.
Yeah, like we made sure.
Right. We listen to our customers.
So before I move on to some of the other operations you got going on with Village Deli, I'd obviously be remiss not talking about just the Kirkwood closure and how that's benefited you guys. What effect has that had on you, and what are your thoughts on the Kirkwood closure as a whole?
Well, I want to back up for just a minute because I was thinking about this after you said like what was the biggest shock for you. When I first bought the Village Deli, I did not know they were going to close Kirkwood for what was called the Big Dig.
Oh yeah.
So it was closed for like 2.5 years, and literally in the front of our building, we had probably 4 feet where people could walk into our front door, and the rest was this 12 to 14 foot hole that went across the entire street. I did not know that was happening before I bought the business, and you can imagine the effect it had on the business.
Yeah, so that's the Big Dig when it took place on Walnut is almost what put Chocolate Mousse out of business when Jeff Grossnickel owned it. which is how our current ownership group became involved, was helping support keeping it alive through the Big Dig.
Well, and we created with Linda Prawl's help, who was a former owner of Kilroy's. That was the first time that we, as business owners, all got together and we started calling it the Big Dig. And we made shirts. We had this fish that was dressed up as a construction guy. And then we passed out hard hats at all the businesses. And we were the ones that were kind of like, okay, we have really got to make lemonade out of these lemons. Yeah. And we would meet, I think once every 2 weeks, Linda would host it. And that's where we really also formed this group. It was like Sue Aquila from BBC and Linda Prawl, Upstairs Pub, participated. God, we had Greetings was there, Pattaya was there, the barbershop, really anyone that had a business, Nick's. And it was a way we got to also like meet each other, form friendships, and that has carried over into what's now called the Kirkwood Community Association, which meets like the second Thursday of every month. And that has really grown, but it's a neighborhood association that really we lean on each other, take care of each other, talk about what's going on in the neighborhood. I kind of digress from what the challenge was when I first came, but the Big Dig was probably our biggest challenge. Now with the Kirkwood closure at the Kirkwood Community Association, we talk about a similar challenges that we have. I think Bloomington is just a funny ass town. And I don't mean like, haha, funny. Because people will say to us like, they love the closure or they hate the closure. I love the closure. It started during COVID. The one thing the closure really provided was a sense of community. I thought a lot of people, and I think we're still feeling that effects. I think people really lost touch with each other. Yeah. And by having an outdoor space where people could eat safely, but also could see each other and keep their distance was really beneficial to everyone's mental health. It was beneficial to the businesses and keeping them up and running. And that turned also into like, hey, what could this be? And I will say right now on your show, I'm an advocate for closing Kirkwood 24/7.
You read my mind where I was going. I was like, I'm going to put you on the spot.
No, you can put me on the spot. I'll say it. I don't think anyone that's met me will say, I always have an opinion, and I'll vocalize it. And you don't have to agree with me, but if you're going to ask, I'm going to tell you. I think like if you go up to Bottle Works in Indianapolis, it is a great space. And it is amazing. And yes, it was privately built, but I envision that for Kirkwood where we have lighting there. We don't have curbs. It's bricked or has some really decorative, nice functioning, surface that we can all work on. And it's also an event space. So similar to Taste of Bloomington, we had Pride Fest. We've had all kinds of walks and runs.
Grand Falloon, Lotus.
Yeah. And I'd love to see 4th Street Art Festival expand onto Kirkwood so it's not as crowded in the 4th Street area and a little bit more friendly to customers. But I think people have a tendency to be like, oh, if you close Kirkwood, it's really difficult to get down there. It's hard to find parking. And some of those I think are just perceptions. If you really come down there, I've never had a problem finding parking around Kirkwood ever.
Same.
And the Poplar's parking garage is free on the weekends. There's all kinds of parking garages around town. But yeah, I think it's worked well, and I think it's good for the community. It's going to be exciting to see with football this year, and people come in town. I think it's a good place for them to see each other, go, in front of Nick's, go in front of the deli, go to Uptown Farm. I like it. I'd like to see more on the street, as would the city. But I think now that we know it's definitely going to be closed for 3 years, we can do all that planning.
Plan ahead a little bit more.
Yeah,
now, so I know obviously yourself and Nick's and Lenny's and Uptown Farm, it's great.
Right.
And I'm an advocate for, really making it a permanent space that is beautiful and walkable, and that's the same kind of vision. But what about the small retail locations? Are there thoughts? Because I know I've gone to some of the Kirkwood groups, and it's a really awesome thing that you guys do to be all on the same page. What are some of their thoughts that you've heard?
You know what's interesting, like greeters Roger's Greetings, Robert from Greetings said they had one of their best years.
That's great.
Trax had their best years for the last 3 years.
Wow.
While it was closed. So Pattaya I haven't heard from. There's only been like really 1 or 2 holdouts on the street. They're really vocal holdouts. And they're entitled to be vocal about it.
Yeah.
If they oppose it and they have good reason. The thing I really like is I like to resolve issues instead of talk about the problems. Let's talk about what the solutions are. So it's really good to get people to the table that have an issue with it and find out what those issues are so we can address them.
Yeah.
You know, if it's access to your business, how do we make it more accessible to your business? Is that through advertising, through co-marketing, co-promoting? But, you know, bring those issues, not just, I don't want the street to be open because I don't want the street to be open. And I'm not saying anyone's saying that, but it does help if you know what those issues are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had the opportunity for the first time in forever to actually enjoy an event on Kirkwood that I wasn't working chocolate mousse or organizing. And,
Sweating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was awesome down at Pride Fest, just walking around and just being part of that energy. And that was why one of the main things I wanted to do was move Taste to Kirkwood. And because it is, when you want people to visit, they're coming to Kirkwood. They're seeing Kirkwood.
Yeah.
It's an iconic name. It's the gateway between city and campus and everything. Yeah. And so it's like, why would we not want to showcase that as much as possible in events like Pride Fest, like Taste, like Grand Falloon, like Lotus, that's the best way to do it.
Right.
People are coming for those. And when you see stuff like that, you know, we had Mayor Thompson on the podcast before she even started her term. And the number two issue behind homelessness was retaining young professionals. And I feel like it's events like that and cool spaces like that attract young professionals and keep young professionals. And that's going to keep Bloomington thriving for years to come.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I'm all for let's do cool shit. Let's do it on Kirkwood. Let's make it happen.
And I also think we're going to be able to keep independent restaurants around if we do that, and the independent retail, because it does bring in more foot traffic. It helps people. And one of the things about Kirkwood that I think is really important, and you haven't asked, but I'm gonna offer up the information. People have asked me why we didn't tear down the Village Deli and build the building that we got approved.
Yeah.
So we got approved for like a 4-story building, 29 apartments.
And it was a beautiful design, by the way, because a lot
of
people I've seen, I don't know if it's still out there on the internet, but you see like the building Chocolate Mousse is in. I'm not a huge fan of it. Don't think it looks that great. There's a lot of those that look very cookie cutter. It's the 3+1, you know, the 1-floor retail, 3 stories apartments, and they look the same in every city.
Yep.
But the mock-up that I saw for the Village Deli building, I was like, that looks awesome. Which I know I'm not helping because it's not happening. But it's like, I thought it was such a great design.
Yeah, actually, too. Well, so Matt Ellenwood designed it with Ryan Strausser. So I'll give a shout out to them. That was our objective when we went to them, was like, we don't want it to look like a cookie cutter building, like all the other buildings. It's a beautiful building. When I look at it right now, I'm a little sad that we're not building
I'm
it.
sorry. I'm over here.
No, it's all right.
Yeah.
But I'm not sad about managing that. I don't know that I want to manage 29 student rentals. But and actually, like, Todd Yeagley's going to get a shout out here too, because I was asking my friends for advice about it. And one of the things he had mentioned, he's like, you know, I really think when people come to the Village Deli, they like the Village Deli and the way it is. And although you may be a little frustrated with how it looks or what it is, people, when they come back, want it to be the same. And if you spend all this money, change the building, build a new site basically for the deli, you're going to be disappointed because you're going to hear people time and time again say, well, the food was the same, but it's just not the same.
I've been dealing with that for 5 years. Dude.
Yeah. And, you know, there's some real truth to that. You know, and
8 years, yeah.
Bloomington Bagel Company, I love what Sue did with the building. The building's great, but the business itself is really not the same as when you used to walk in and the bagels were being made right in front of you. You could smell it. And I get why they did it. And that's not the reason why I decided not to do the project. The reason why I decided not to do the project is I have enough money. And so if I was doing it for money, to make more money, the money wasn't going to change my life in any way. It wasn't going to get me to that jet. private jet. So like, why go through the hassle and the heartache and then also really not have the outcome that you want? And the outcome I want, and it's the outcome I wanted when I first bought the Village Deli, is I wanted to become an iconic business that when people came back to Bloomington, they came in and they were like, oh my God, this is just like I remember it when I was a freshman and I ate here, or a sophomore. And when people come back and they say that, it really does help. Like it makes you feel good about your business. It makes you feel good about what the service you're providing. And a lot of my friends will say I'm an idiot for not going after the money and changing the building. But when you look around Bloomington, we need to start building up more independent businesses and making it easier for them to exist and survive, or we're gonna end up, and I won't name them, but we're gonna end up with a lot more chicken places on Kirkwood. And so that's my shout out to Bloomington, is you know, really walk the talk. So if you're going to talk about supporting local and independent businesses, actually do it, because it is really important to the fabric of our community.
100%. I think, I can't remember if it was on a podcast or just in a conversation. I said I treat it like ground beef. I do my 80-20.
Yeah.
I go like 80% local when I eat out, 20% chain. You're not ever going to avoid chains. There's nothing wrong with going to a chain.
Right.
But one of the things that kept me in Bloomington 16 years now, which I had no intention on staying for anywhere near this
No one ever does.
was the culinary scene and just the food options. Even when I started coming down to Bloomington when I was 16 before I moved here, I got excited to go to Buffalo's. I got excited to get a tenderloin at Upland. You know? Season 9 of the No Dishes podcast is presented by our friends at Game Day Men's Health. I've been seeing them for the past 5 months and have lost over 50 pounds using tirzepatide. But they do so much more than just weight loss. Whether you're suffering from fatigue, loss of motivation, poor sleep, or other wellness concerns, Game Day Men's Health can help. Check out GameDayMen'sHealth.com today to schedule your free testosterone test and consultation to get yourself back in the game. Better business, better community. For over a century, the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce has been a cornerstone of business growth and community development. They are dedicated to helping local businesses thrive. Their business is all about your business. Join the Chamber today. Call 812-336-6381 or visit chamberbloomington.org to learn more. And Village Deli is one of those icons, along with Nick's. And what's your relationship like with Runcible Spoon? Because you guys, it's two, I think, iconic breakfast places right nearby. And I guess I've never even asked you, like, what are you guys homies? Do you guys appreciate each other? Or you're like, oh, that's all right. I don't know.
No, actually, we appreciate each other. So Matt is awesome. Yeah. Matt and Reagan. And we're, you know, we actually don't socialize outside of work. Which hardly any restaurant owners socialize with each other because we're all working. But Matt and I are friends. We talk in the bullshit in the parking lots with each other, commiserate, ask why we're still doing this at our ages, because he's as old as I am. And, but no, we're friends. And it's really funny because we feed off of each other. So, you know, people come to the deli and they're like, what's the wait? We're like 20, 25 minutes. And they're like, okay, put our name down. And I'm like, hey, dude, if you're going to Runcible, if you decide to stay, just call us and take your name off. Let us know. Like, we know the game. We know where you're going. Like, we're all good with it. And one thing about the community and the neighborhood, and Runcible's great about it, is, you know, if we're out of spinach, like knocking on their back door, and they'll give us whatever they can, and then we'll reimburse them the next day or what have you. But it's just like going to your neighbors and getting a sugar when, you know, your mom's like, hey, we need go to
knock on
Jones
the door
and see
need
if
a
they got
cup.
sugar.
Yeah.
No, we have a really good relationship with them. And I think initially when I bought the businesses, I'm a pretty competitive individual. And so thinking about, like, you know, there's really no room for anyone but me, at any of the businesses. And then you realize, like, there's plenty of seats at the table. And we really need to lift each other up and encourage each other and help each other. And as you get older, I have more time to do that than I did when I was younger, because I had my own family, my kids were really busy. So I didn't have as much time outside of the restaurant to really spend time helping anyone else that was starting up or had questions. So it's kind of nice to be able to give back.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. And I mean, I've seen that. It's always people that are getting into the industry in Bloomington for the first time. I've seen it in the food truck world and some in the brick and mortar, but obviously the food trucks I'm very involved in, where they are seeing each other as competition. But then usually after about a season of working with everyone, they're like, oh no, these are all friends. Right. They're all helping. We're all, Food Truck Friday works because all of us are here. Exactly. Food Truck Friday wouldn't work with 3 of us here. Yeah. So, and everyone's very collaborative. I've said it on here a million times about Hartzell's helping us out or them, us helping them out. And that's just really what makes the Bloomington restaurant community so special.
Yeah, I agree.
So when you've bought Village Deli in 99, at what point does Soma come into your life?
So Soma came in 2008. So it's been so you 18 years.
9 years, and you're just like, this isn't enough punishment. I want more.
So, actually, so this is it's kind of funny how it happened, actually. So when I bought Village Deli, I didn't like their coffee. And they had Mocha Java coffee, which type of bean, fresh ground, which was, besides Uptown, we were like the only 2 restaurants that did that at that time. And I didn't like the coffee. My wife reminded me that she was like, it's not about you, it's about the customer, and they like the coffee. And a lot of customers were like, hey, you got to keep the coffee, don't change the coffee. So I started to walk across the street to Soma every day to get my coffee. And at that time, Pete owned it. He had purchased it from Richard Satnick. And when Pete wanted to sell it, he was like, hey, would you be interested in buying Soma and Laughing Planet? Because you're here every day. You're going to save a ton of money. You're here 2 times a day, at least. And I really wanted to buy Soma. So I said yes. And I got Laughing Planet with Soma because it was a deal. And that's how I got into the business. And again, like life lessons and something you learn, Soma and Laughing Planet's culture was entirely different than the Village Deli. So at the Village Deli, my employees were all college kids, mostly undergrad. At Laughing Planet and Soma, I had an older group, a lot of musicians, poets, artists. Yeah. And not necessarily my group, and I think they viewed me as like, oh my God, the man has just purchased our business. This is ours. And I think the thing they came to respect and find out is I wasn't there to change the business. I knew what worked. And what worked is the quirkiness of both of those places. Right. And if you go into Soma today, it is as quirky as in 2008 when I bought it. And I would never change that. And what I have done as I've opened other Somas, each one of them has its own feel and flavor and vibe, which I think is important, that you don't try to do a cookie cutter. And I couldn't. There's no way you can duplicate Soma.
Soma on Grant can't be duplicated.
Can't. Yeah. But that's how I got involved with Soma and Laughing Planet. And then unfortunately with Laughing Planet, before you ask, I'll offer it up. So
gonna beat me to the punch. Okay.
And thank you for not wearing I Miss the Laughing Planet t-shirt. I miss the Laughing Planet too. I really miss the food. The location of where Laughing Planet was located was probably the worst place that you could operate a restaurant in. And any of the former cooks that are out there that are watching this would agree with me 100%. Our lease was coming up on that space, and it was really difficult during COVID to have 5 restaurants. And I had to let something go. I was really kind of at a breaking point, and it was really hard to keep them all above water, and Laughing Planet really wasn't doing that well. So it does it's kind of like fingernails on a chalkboard when I see that t-shirt that I miss Laughing Planet, because I'm like, I also missed all the people that could have made the business continue to run. However, I did appreciate and do appreciate the business that we had, and we had a lot of really loyal customers and great employees. And there isn't any place in Bloomington that stepped in to take Laughing Planet's spot, which is disappointing.
I think that's what makes it even more where you're still hearing about it. How many years ago was it?
Gosh, I'm thinking it's 5.
I was going to say it's been a while now.
Yeah,
so
4 for sure.
Yeah, you're still hearing about it 4 or 5 years later because it was so unique and nothing has stepped in to fill that void.
Right.
And so it makes sense.
Yeah,
again.
absolutely.
But yeah.
And you can go out to Oregon or and they're all over the place.
Someone just posted the one I think in Corvallis.
Yeah, Corvallis. There's in Eugene, Portland. I think at this point, and it's switched owners. Richard Satnick doesn't own it anymore. I think there are 15 at this point.
Interesting.
I pulled it up. It's done really well out there.
Yeah. So when you got it, was it part? Did you pay a franchise percentage or anything?
So I actually had a licensing agreement and still do on Laughing Planet and Soma. So Richard Satnick holds the license for it.
Interesting.
And,
okay.
And really, there's no monetary benefit for him. He just wanted to make sure that if it ever left my hands, that he could have input as to who the next owner was.
Interesting.
And so that really did, like, people ask me why I didn't sell Laughing Planet. We did have someone who was interested in buying it, but it wasn't a person that Richard really thought had the best interests of the business. And so it was difficult. It was a difficult thing to try to sell.
Well, I think that fact alone might help a lot of people understand it even more. Why it didn't just get sold or stay in existence. So I think that's really important to get out there.
Sure.
That's great. So so when you first got Soma, it was just the one, 2008, just the one on Grant.
Yes.
Walk us through the expansion and how that came about.
So there was a location on 3rd and Jordan called the Copper Cup, and small place. In my opinion, not run really well. And I kept trying to get them to sell to me, and they were never ready. Interestingly, they said they were going to be the next Starbucks, and they were going to open a lot of these all over the place. They opened one on the west side, which didn't work out, over by B-Dubs. And then...
when are we talking? I'm trying to remember that.
That's got to be... maybe 7 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. Because I feel like I remember, I know pre 3rd and Jordan Soma. I remember that. Yes.
Copper Cup.
So I remember them being there.
Yeah.
But I don't remember them opening one next to Beat-Ups.
Yeah. And they opened, it wasn't open very long, and they owned Pro Wins as well. So while I was waiting to buy that, the location on 10th Street opened. It used to be called Kopi Coffee, Kopi.
Okay.
So we took over that space. It was going really well. IU decided that they were going to tear down the entire building. So they bought us out of our lease, and then they were going to build a new building, which we were going to move into. Once they had a new administration after McRobbie left, there was no more new buildings, so the project got scrapped. So if you go by there now, it's just a grassy field. That also led to like Lenny's moving,
right? And
because their building was also going to be torn down and part of this expansion. So that was literally spot number 2. We had literally spot number 2 was the Copper Cup spot. Spot number 3
and
was
Kopi. And that was about 7 years ago?
That was about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And we took over that, and it ran, it's just been a great spot. We expanded.
Oh, it's an amazing location.
Yeah, it's a great location. We have a lot of walk-up business there. Again, it really solidified Soma kind of as an iconic brand in Bloomington. We have a lot of students that come in through that space, and parents and faculty. And similar to Chocolate Mousse, we've kind of expanded our line into sandwiches and snacks, and then it led to a bakery. So getting ahead of myself, but now I'll follow it up. So then, if you remember, Feast,
of course,
was opened, and the two sisters opened their second location. The sisters split up and decided they were going to do businesses on their own. Erica opened Una on the corner of Hillside and Henderson. That unfortunately didn't succeed. And so she sold us her equipment business license, and we took over that location and made that our third Soma location, which has been a great location for us. We put a bakery in the basement.
That's what I figured that's where your home base was for
Yeah.
So you bake everything there and then send it out.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I assumed.
Right.
But I didn't know for sure.
So where the anybody that's a fan of Feast knows that they started with tortillas in
Tamales.
Tamales,
Yeah.
thank you, not tortillas. Tamales at the farmer's market. And so the basement was where they made all the tamales. So we basically took over that production space, and it's been really good for us. We've really enjoyed it. I really miss having Erica and Jen in the community. They really added a lot to the culinary
Oh, absolutely.
scene here. So hopefully if you're out there, you heard me and you come back.
Yeah. Well, I know Erica still has her hands a little bit in the Planted food truck, which is nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah, which we're hoping to do an episode on that soon. But it is, Feast was one of my favorite restaurants,
Mine
if
too.
not my favorite. I told Eric Bueno the best burger I've had to this day
Right.
was at Feast at Hillside and Henderson.
Nice.
And it was just, they did this like pickled zucchini, and it was just a pretty simple burger, but like, man, it was like a core memory of mine. I could still think back to just staring at it like, what am I eating? Like it was like a transformational burger.
Right.
And just all the amazing meals I had at the original Feast. And then the new one, because, I was the front of house manager at Sweetgrass
Oh, I didn't know that.
under the original owners, and
Right.
we had Angel Bee's Cakes.
Yeah,
in
I
there,
remember
and then,
that.
and then Feast got in there. But even then, Feast, I mean, essentially it was Erica, Jen, and Eric.
Yeah.
But then once Eric was out of the equation, it's just not anywhere close to what it used to be. We won't dive into all that, but it's just sad. It's sad when you have a place that you love so much that you have all these great memories,
Yeah.
and that had such a great product, and then it's a shell of itself, and you're just like, well, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, and you also hope that maybe the current owner hears it too. And, it's something to aspire to, it was one of Bloomington's iconic places,
Yeah.
and still could be. So, I really respect the Cunningham Restaurant Group up in Indianapolis. One of the things they really do is they build a concept around a chef. And so, if we can get the chefs and attract them to Bloomington, we can have these concepts. You already mentioned Eric. I mean, that was one of the reasons why Feast was so successful.
Dan
And
Thomas
so-
at Elm has crushed
Yeah.
it. Had talent, and
Right.
was incredible.
Absolutely.
It's C3 has had Matt there forever.
Right.
And then you see Uptown doing it.
Yeah,
They've got these two really talented chefs that we're going
Absolutely.
to open up a second one.
Right. Yeah, which is great to see.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to come to fruition. I feel like it's been in the works now for a minute, but
And it might be a few more minutes before it
I know.
but
I know.
It'll take longer than they want it to, but it'll get here eventually.
yeah, I'm just talking with Galen about like the second story being like a bar. It just sounds hip and cool, and
Yeah, it'll
I
be
want to be
awesome.
a part of it. Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, too, like taking a long time, we have a fourth Soma location that's going into the Kiln, which is the building north of the mill technology.
Yes.
And that's taking a lot longer than we expected. We hope to have that open by the end of September. Really cool space. It's the first space that we have designed and built from the ground up, so I'm really particularly proud of it. It has a great outdoor space to it. We're going to have smokeless fire pits, campsite chairs, music. It's just going to be a really cool space.
I'm so glad you brought it up, because we've talked about it on the podcast when Pat East and John Fernandez were on. I'm buddies with Trotsky and Whistler. Like we've talked about this Soma on here before, and I totally was going to forget about it. And so I'm so glad you brought it up, because it's going to be an awesome spot there.
I wanted to bring it up because I get asked, as does Brad and Mike and Fernandez, like, when is it opening?
Yeah.
So I think we're moving along. It just has taken longer than expected. Yeah. So, but we're getting there. We want to do it right.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, anyone that's ever opened a restaurant or a business, you're seeing it with Hoosier Alley right now.
my God.
We're gonna be opening all like. Just hold off. I've seen so many people do it. Just don't say when you're going to be open.
Well,
like we're going to be,
Yeah.
The No Dishes podcast is brought to you by visitbloomington.com. VisitBloomington.com is the best resource for restaurant and culinary information, special events, fun activities, places to stay, and more in our area. We share a similar mission here on the No Dishes podcast of highlighting local businesses and the people who make our community unique. We can't thank them enough for hopping on board. Check them out at visitbloomington.com to easily plan your next meal, visit, or night out on the town. The Bloomington Town Planner is a community calendar owned and published by local residents John and Sharon Martin. Mailed out to Bloomington homes in December of each year, it features school schedules and community events. And don't forget the coupons at the bottom of the calendar. They'll save you money and help you decide on the next restaurant or retailer to check out here in the Bloomington area. Town Planner also has an online calendar which can be found at townplanner.com. Make sure to sign up for their weekly e-newsletter so you can stay on top of all the fun events going on around town.
Well, the hard part is you're trying to run and operate your businesses, the ones you currently have, and not neglect them. And, and that segues into, I also own the Ivy, which is a full service catering event center, which is in the old Topos building, another really old building. And I have a business partner with that. His name's Sean Urton. And Sean's also one of my business partners on the Kiln, as is Brad and Mike and Craig Bailey, Don Weiler. I want to make sure I got all the names.
Yeah, got to show
the
love.
Like, you forgot to say me.
Yeah, come on, buddy. Yeah.
But Sean and I own the Ivy. It is a great space to have an event. So we have a great outdoor space there. The building's beautiful. It's a beautiful site. We have had nothing but compliments when people are there. And it was another space that was going to sit empty had we not used it. And not like I'm doing a community service by running it, but it's definitely something we wanted to keep in the downtown area. Yeah. And so Sean and I made that commitment. And
is that building designated historic?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yes.
And anyone that went in, you've done such a great job this whole interview of just going to the next thing I wanted to read. I was like, this is great. I'll just sit back and listen.
Right.
But no, anyone that ever went into Topos 403 or what, it was like Ancient Grains or what was the
Standard Grain.
Standard Grain. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I remember going there for they were doing like carry out family meals during
Worst
COVID.
timing ever. They opened right when COVID started.
Yeah. And but I actually tried to support them as best I could. But anyone that went in there knows that space. And it's beautiful. So when I heard that you guys were turning it into an event venue, I was like, that's such a perfect fit for it.
It's awesome. Yeah. So we need more business. So, if you're out there and you're thinking about your event, you need to think about the Ivy.
Yeah. What for those interested, because I've been in the building, but I haven't seen it used. I've had a few invites to things I haven't been able to make that have been hosted there, but I haven't attended an event there yet. What's kind of are you doing rehearsal dinners, wedding receptions? What's the space, the seating kind of like?
Right. So it's kind of a broken up space except for the outdoor seating area.
That's why I'm curious about it. Yeah.
It's really good for like rehearsal dinners. We've had weddings there. We've had wedding receptions there. Baby showers, guy girl wedding showers, 50th birthday, 40th birthday, retirement parties. We've had memorial services. So really anything where you're going to upwards of 150 people. I would say you get to 200 and you're really in a area where you're really weather dependent on whether you need the weather to be good. Otherwise you're going to be shoulder to shoulder.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a good space. And we've done recruiting for like football, baseball has done some recruiting there. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Garrett's had these pictures up on the screen for the viewers to see, and it's just such a beautiful, classy venue. It's just like, it has that like old time kind of like, like old money kind of feel to it.
Right. Yeah. And still some nods to the Greek heritage of Topologus.
Yeah.
So they're really responsible for the design of the place. They did a really nice job with it. And then as you can see, some of the artwork is John Mellencamp's work, which is on loan from Jason Milliken. And Sean is a particular fan of John's work. So we have a lot of that displayed, but we have some other local artists as well.
Yeah.
In there. Yeah.
That's super
nice.
Cool. Yeah. That's awesome that Jason did that too. Like,
it is.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's like, well, it could sit in my garage or someone could actually see it.
Yeah. It's like you still own it.
Garage, yeah.
Now we can cut this out if you want. I don't want to start any rumors, but I remember back having friends that worked at Topos that hinted that the building might be haunted.
Well, I have not heard that. I have not experienced that. So we do have.
But you knew what I was talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. So we do have like two different guys who repair stuff for different companies in town that are like, I'm not going to be in that building alone. And We've had managers before that when they're in there alone, they're like, I swear I like hear something, but I don't know. It was a doctor's office. So Topo's father actually delivered babies. It was an OBGYN office.
Oh, okay.
And so he literally delivered children there.
Yeah.
I've not heard like any particular type of ghost or age.
I just heard sounds or lights flickering, things of that nature. But yeah.
Right.
But it's only when you're alone. So go for an event, you're good.
So let's fill the space.
Yeah. Even more reason to make sure people RSVP.
Right.
And then, so how long has that been now that you've had it as the Ivy and functioning?
Oh gosh, when you ask me like time, like
I know.
Like,
trust me, I get it.
I feel like I'm in a warp. Like I can barely remember my kids' birthdays or how old they are. I think we have owned that for 4 years.
I think that sounds about right.
I'm guessing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd say 4. But we did like looking at the pictures, like we tuck pointed it, we painted it. The landscaping's all new. We put signage up. We gave it really a spruce up, and not that Topo's didn't take care of it or give it to us in great shape. But we just did some modifications to it. And then we're also still, homage to Topo. It still has Topo's name on the building.
Right. Yeah. You see it. It says,
Which is what's important to him and something that we could easily honor.
Yeah. It's just such a cool space. It's so pretty, just right there in the thick of everything. And I loved seeing it just look vibrant and being used. And
well, I think what I see is an invitation coming out to Jordan's 40th birthday party.
Yeah. Dude, you still going to own it in 5 years? Yeah. There we go. Yeah. I was like, man, already planning for the 40th. That's scary. Yeah, we'll see. My 36th, or my 30th was at the bowling alley. So we're going to level up a little bit. I'm going to have to do karaoke in there.
Yeah, well, you can still smoke outside. So
perfect. That's good. Well, yeah, it's that 30th birthday. I was a hot mess. I was still boozing back then. Yeah. Let's just say I don't remember seeing the karaoke, but I heard it was not good. Or my part. Everyone else singing was good. Well, man, you've got so many irons in the fire between all the locations. What do you foresee in the future for you? Are you pretty happy with where you're at, or do you have anything you are willing to talk about already about growth or projects?
I'm not really looking too much beyond the future of the kiln itself. Like I need to get that open, running, and operating. And you know this because you do a lot of things too. It's kind of like one of those things like, let's get this like situated and settled and figure out what our rhythm is with this
rhythm is
before we start taking on more, and I see it with other people where they just take on too much at one time.
Right.
And I'm already spread pretty thin at the moment.
I can imagine.
And so I'm like, I need some time to like take it all in, or pull it all together. And it's not like my sole responsibility either. I have some great people that work with me, and without them, I couldn't do this. Also, if I continue to say like, and our next project's going to be this, while we haven't even finished the one that's on the table, I'll be doing it alone. And real quick, they'll be like, "Yeah, you have fun with that." I'm done. Like, I didn't hear vacation anywhere in your conversation, so I'm out.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. It's all about the rhythm. Because people are like, dude, how do you do all this stuff? Well, I'm like, number one, I don't have kids. So for me, I'm like, that helps.
Yes.
But you just get in a rhythm. Garrett and I are in a pretty great rhythm with no dishes. We record our Tuesday evenings. He does an amazing job editing. Yeah. I got my bingo night. Like, it's just, you get in that rhythm. Yes. And then you can kind of just feel it like, okay, I could handle another project right now.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Yeah, which that's what Taste was this year. Yeah. And then now we already solved a lot of the issues that came with bringing it back, new location. And so it might be foolish of me, but I don't think it'll be as much work for this second iteration. Yeah. There's a lot to tweak and learn from the event, but it's, the hard part I think is done.
Well, and the great part about that, the hard part's done. And now the part is to get somebody else to help you that wants to take it over. Right. And so, you saw like on the Taste, the 5-year time frame, I think it was, that we didn't have it. Yeah. Where there really, there was an aging that happened in Bloomington, and there really wasn't a groundswell of people to take over these spots. And that even includes leadership in Bloomington too. So that's, I think, what we really owe the next generation is a lot of us have been successful. So now like help someone else develop themselves to be successful as well. So that the Taste in Bloomington can continue without you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and that way you can go do something else too after 2 or 3 years. Like you can be like, I really always wanted to do I don't know, a banjo festival.
Don't steal my idea for a honky tonk, Bob.
Yeah. Right. Speakeasy.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I mean, you guys, yourselves, Michael Cassidy, Talisha, Dave Kubiak, Ron Stanhouse, there's all these community anchors that have been at it for such a long time. But when I met with Ron and Dave and Talisha, they were ready to pass the torch. And just were like, hey, we've done this for 40 years. We're burnt out, and Talisha was amazing after Taste and beforehand too, but just being like, it was better than that. She has no holding on to the past or, it was great, but I still want people to remember how great it used to be. She doesn't care about any of that.
Well, and that's what we also need from the people that are there. Like when I bought the business and I sat in those meetings, like KCA meetings and, the Big Dig and stuff, there were a couple like old timers there and like, it would drive me crazy. Like every time somebody would bring up something, they're like, "We tried that already. Like, that's already been done. No, it's a fail." And you're like, and I promised myself, I was like, when I get to that age, I'm not going to be that guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to be the guy that says this will never work. The downer.
Yeah.
At every, and I think with Talisha and Ron and those guys, they can see that it can be done differently and even better. And it doesn't take away from the past.
Exactly.
Like,
yes.
And that's what I would like to see, like with the farmer's market, suggesting to the city, like, why don't you do the farmer's market on Tuesday on Kirkwood? They used to have a Tuesday and a Saturday.
Right.
Or move the farmer's market to Kirkwood. Like in Madison, the farmer's market's around the square.
Yeah.
Not at the city hall.
Right.
Or like 4th Street Festival, we've been trying for years to get them to move it to Kirkwood. And not the entire thing, just part of it. And they're like, well, it wouldn't be 4th Street Festival if it's on Kirkwood. We're like, no, it would be. But
just
it'd be bigger.
Yes.
And more people could come and more people could spend more time looking at the art and not feel like it's, shoulder to shoulder.
That they have to look and move on quickly.
Move on.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Taste in Bloomington is a really good example for everyone to like reimagine things and let go of the past. I'll give you an example too. I'm going to digress, but it's a good example. Is Bloomington Paint and Hardware used to be on the north side of the square, and when I was president of DBI, I think Fernandez was mayor, and we wanted to make the north side of the square two-way. It was one way. Businesses were never thriving on the north side of the square, mainly because of traffic. Bloomington Paint and Hardware had been at that location for almost 90 years or something.
Wow.
Brad Knight was the grandson, was running the business, and dramatically, like in front of City Hall or City Council, when they were talking about making it two-way, like threw his keys up and was like, "You might as well shut us down now. We're gonna fail. It won't work. It'll kill our business." And he moved off the square as a result of turning that two-way street, and then came up to us later and said, "That was the best thing that I ever did. Our business is so much better than it was on the square." And I could never imagine that. Like, I just imagined that my business was going to suffer and because of the change. And he said, actually, I'm in a better place now than I was. And so I always took that lesson that it taught me that, like, instead of just being so entrenched in your position, that you really should open yourself up to change.
100%. I mean, when I went to the first Kirkwood group meeting, I feel like it was late 24.
Yeah.
The first pitch you guys on bringing Taste to Kirkwood, it was overwhelmingly positive, including yourself, but there was a couple people that weren't super jazzed about it. And I feel like now, after they've seen it, I haven't had direct conversations with them, but I have a hard time believing that they're not thrilled with how it turned out as a whole for the community and how it turned out for their individual businesses that day.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what? Even sometimes you have to sacrifice the business for the community. So,
of course.
You know
so
what?
even if it doesn't, yeah. But
And,
I think this was best of both worlds.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, sometimes you got to look at what the long-term effect is. So maybe, and I think, the owner of Upstairs even said it, you know, anything that brings people to Kirkwood is good. Whether we make money off of it or not, it's exposing people to Kirkwood, exposing the fact that we have parking, that it is accessible, that it's not unsafe, it's not unclean, that it's a great place to be. So yeah, I think you did a good thing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate your support.
Yeah.
That just reminded me earlier when you were talking about parking, because it's just one of the biggest complaints you hear. You know, we had maybe 35,000 people based on some data that we've been given. And we had a free shuttle running for the entire event. 47 people used it. You know what that tells me? There's plenty of parking.
Right. Yeah.
And I went for lunch at Osteria during Thursday of Welcome Week. It was popping.
Yeah.
And I had to park at 4th and Grant.
Right.
And that was me struggling to find parking.
Right.
And I had to walk a block.
Oh, man.
And that's like when it was like, oh, I drove around for a bit.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I think we're pretty spoiled with how close we get to park to things.
Absolutely.
In Bloomington. And if you don't get a surface space right on the block of where we're going, parking in Bloomington's terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we have so much of that, like what you alluded to earlier, of just it's easier to complain instead of just having solutions or being part of the solution. And so yeah, anyway, let's talk about, before we still have a little bit of time, but
All right.
You've been around for a bit. I want to talk about places that were here that you missed, and then some of your favorite places that are still around for dining out.
Yeah. So the one that comes to mind that I miss is Lung Chung's.
Okay.
Chinese restaurant that was on North Walnut. And it was like one of the best places to eat. Another Chinese restaurant, which was where Upstairs Pub is currently, was The Walk, which was awesome too. It's owned by Ju Ping. It was a amazing restaurant. Another one I would say is Cafe de Django, which is
Big
where,
Woods.
where Big Woods is. That was owned by,
Well, I remember when I remember when like they were closing, and I was still, I was probably 23. But I've always wanted to like open up my own restaurant, you know, because before Chocolate Mousse, my experience is full service, you know, all of that. And so and I maybe up until recently always said my heart is still in full service. I still love like just what that is, the dynamics, what you have to execute to be a successful full business restaurant.
Right.
And I remember just being like, man, I want to go in that Cafe Django spot. And I had no money to my name. No, it never would have worked. But I remember like hearing someone else was going in there. I was like, That's when you're like 23 and you're like, I'm just going to talk to these guys with money. They're going to see my vision. I don't need a business plan. They did not see my vision.
They'll believe in me.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually never got the chance to go to Cafe Django.
Yeah,
what were some of the menu items that you recall?
You know what? It was more of Tibetan food. She had a Tibetan influence to it. It was more of the space because she had live jazz music in there. The food was okay. There wasn't anything in particular that I
stood out.
Stood out.
Yeah,
it was more of the atmosphere. So it was just cozy. She always had some famous people playing from the Jacob School. So it was more of that than anything else. Kind of almost speakeasy-ish. You know, I would say that was the case. My actual favorite, one of my favorites, was Talents when it was in the old Juanita's spot. So before Talents was open on Walnut, it was open on
Kirkwood.
On Kirkwood, and was really tiny, and then outdoor space. And Christy and Dave ran that place, and it was amazing. It was so good. And then they moved to their new swanky location, which was even better.
That's the only one I ever got to experience. I knew I'd heard that they used to be there, and man, I loved going in there, sitting at the bar, and just having awesome meal.
Yeah.
They just like,
I loved sitting at the bar. That was like one of my favorites.
Talent just crushed it, man. I miss it so much.
Yeah, I do. And I've had, Dave does do some catering. So I've had a few events that he's catered.
I've emailed him a couple times.
Yeah, he's expensive though.
I know. Well, no, I mean about coming on here. Yeah.
You haven't had him on here yet?
No, I've tried. But I feel like if I get enough people to plant the seed,
I'll try it for you.
We'll get there. I just heard, and we used to deliver ice just like we've delivered ice to Village Deli, and we'd pull up there and they've got this little like side door off the alley. It was the weirdest little setup, and I remember schlepping ice in there. So I'm just like, eventually, I just know he's a reserve guy, and but I feel like it'd be so much fun to go down memory lane.
Oh, absolutely. And so some of the current restaurants I really like. I like Bangkok Thai on the east side.
We are blessed with good Thai restaurants.
Yeah, we
are.
are.
Our Thai restaurant game, I swear, I think it's up there. Obviously, we're missing Isan. And I know so many people that say there's nothing that hits the spot like Isan hit it for them.
Yes.
But I think between Bloomington Thai, between My Thai, Siam House, Bangkok Thai, Bangkok is one that doesn't get mentioned. It gets mentioned the least, I think. Yeah. But it's up there with all of them.
Oh, so their location, the owner is like probably one of the sweetest people you could ever meet too. She's just like, she's amazing. I really like Bangkok Thai. Uptown is a staple. I mean, I really enjoy eating dinner there. Samira is one of my favorites. I like Samira.
I'm hoping I called the owner a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah,
and he says he's down to come on.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's not scheduled yet, but I'm hoping.
Right.
And then the same thing with Reagan and Matt. I'm trying to get a hold of them because I made a Facebook post and I was like, specifically the two contacts I asked for from my friends was Runcible and Samira because I was like, we're on season 9 and we haven't done a Runcible or Samira episode yet. Like, what are we doing?
And Matt,
I knew how to get a hold of you, so that
well, Matt's just got such great experience too, having been in Greencastle before he came to Bloomington, and running the cooking school, and he's just a great chef, and he worked with some amazing chefs in the past. Just a really good guy. I would say some of my other favorites to eat at. I really like D'Angelo's on the east side. That's one of my favorites. Eat there quite a bit.
Yeah, they get slept on. I've talked about they have my favorite salad.
Yeah.
Just the house salad adds salmon. Oh, so I just go house salad add salmon.
I'm all about the Tuscan.
Tell me about the Tuscan.
So it's apple. It's like apple, cranberry, walnuts, in a lettuce blend. It's really, really good. Okay,
that sounds like it'd be good with some salmon too.
Yeah, that'd be good. And then I'd say my other is Sushi Bar, which is like everybody's like, oh my God, it looks like a hole in the wall from outside, which it does from outside. Best sushi in town. Owners are some of the hardest working people I know, and probably the least known sushi place in town. But every friend I've introduced it to, it's become a regular place for them to stop. So that would be those are my pitches.
Dude, that's a list. That's a great list.
I try to go like similar to you. I try to do 80-20 on independent and non-independent restaurants. But you get the thing that's I find myself guilty of, and I see it with customers too, is you go into a place and you constantly order the same thing because it's your favorite.
Of course, yeah.
And then someone else mentions something and you're like, wow, I've never tried that. And I don't know if I want to though, because I really like this one dish.
And it's getting worse as we've had to raise our prices as our expenses have gone up. And then, so I feel like the consumer is even more risk adverse than ever because you don't want to pay for something you don't like.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
It's like, if you know what the home run is, you're going with the home run.
Yeah. Who wants a triple?
Yeah. All right. If I never asked this, but I'm curious. If you had to pick a favorite chain restaurant, because I love me some Texas Roadhouse.
Okay.
And I worked at O'Charlie's when I first moved down here, so I still have a soft spot for O'Charlie's. And there's a handful of others, but you got a chain one that's like a guilty pleasure.
No, it's not like my guilty pleasure. Like, okay.
Those are two different questions.
If I'm hungover, I'm going to get a fillet of fish and French fries. at McDonald's.
What an interesting hangover meal.
Oh, man,
okay.
it's so good.
I
so
mean,
greasy.
don't get me wrong. I'm not above a filet of fish.
I wouldn't say that's my favorite chain. So similarly to you, but a competitor, I really like Longhorn Steakhouse.
Yeah.
And I think their food's really consistent. It's good. And it's conveniently located close to my house.
There it is.
So that's part of it as well. Texas Roadhouse, I live on the east side of town.
Right, yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't want to go to the west side. I'm like at that point in life where I'm like, oh, the west side seems so far away.
Oh, no, I get it, yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely on my list. And funny, I've run into a cook from Texas Roadhouse who hangs out at Longhorn because one of his buddies works there. He's at the bar usually. And he keeps trying to push me to go to Texas Roadhouse, which I always find really funny because I'm eating at Longhorn.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to go over there. They have better steaks.
Actively recruiting you.
Yeah, right.
Well, so everything you described about Longhorn is similar to how I feel about Texas. It's very consistent. You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
I'm curious, so shitty fast food fish sandwiches.
Right.
While we're on the subject.
Yeah.
Have you had the one at Culver's?
I haven't. I
right,
gotta try it out.
Do the fish sandwich. So my mom, who doesn't do fast food, she's a health nut. She was telling me about organic food in '96. You know what I mean? Like she's been way
that person.
Yeah, but her little treat that her and my dad will go do is a Culver's fish sandwich.
Really?
And the first time she brought it up, I was like, "Mom, we have something we can talk about." You know, like we have I love that fish sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh man, Bob, thank you so much for everything you do in the community. Thanks for just taking the time to come on, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We could easily do another 2 hours.
Absolutely.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, thank you.
You're still here. You made it, champ. I'm proud of you. Thanks to Game Day Men's Health, all of our other sponsors, and to G Baby Garrett with Green Hat Media. See you next time. This episode of the No Dishes Podcast was recorded, edited, and produced by Garrett Portinga of Green Hat Media in beautiful downtown Bloomington, Indiana.
No Dishes Media.
No Dishes Media.